On top of everything else, the coronavirus continues to be at pandemic levels. There are increases in numbers throughout the country. There are plenty of people who either choose to consciously ignore it or they haven't bothered to stop and notice. It's raising questions again about the NFL's 2020 season. Jed York, the 49ers CEO, told Jennifer Lee Chan of NBC Sports Bay Area there will be a season in some way, shape, or form. After seeing the progress of reopening, I am confident in that. I know our players and staff are ready and excited to get things rolling. Yeah, I've seen some of the progress of reopening. Some of the photographs are stunning. And, you know, it's when you see a photo of a crowded nightclub, the first thing that some people say is, well, nobody said any of this during the protests. Well, the protests were an organic life form. They were something that happened in reaction to something that shouldn't have happened. It's not like people are saying, hey, I'm going to go out and have a good time here. They were going out to do something they thought they were compelled to do that overcame their fears of the coronavirus. And most of the people I saw protesting had masks on. When I see photos of these jammed nightclubs, I don't see a single freaking mask in there, Chris. So these two things are not the same by any means.
No, they're definitely not. We've still got things to work out in society, and of course in sports. I mean, that's where we're still in a tough spot here. And as much as I thought, like, oh, I'm optimistic, the NFL is going to play and everything like that, I'm a little scared right now, just because I don't know. I still don't know where we stand, Mike. First off, yes, society is still in some areas kind of taking this lightly. So that's not going to help things 2 months from now. We're seeing cases rise in a lot of the states that have, taken away the stay-at-home orders and other things like that. Cases are going through the roof again. But then also, again, just the progress with players in the NFL and things like that. I'm scared of where it's at, Mike. I mean, and we're seeing college football. Some of these schools are getting back together, having workouts, whatever it may be, and you're seeing that players are testing positive right away. And I just don't know where the NFL is at this point. And that's, of course, we know society is in a weird spot, but I'm specifically talking about NFL here. And the society is kind of a microcosm to say, I don't know where this can go. And is it going to be realistic to think we can play a full season of games here?
Yeah, the University of Houston's football program under Dana Holgorsen shut down voluntary workouts after 6 of the athletes tested positive for COVID-19. So it's a reality as you bring people together and put them in close quarters. And here's the problem. Last week, we get the memo from the NFL outlining detailed protocols for what will happen inside of a facility, and everyone must be 6 feet apart, and it has to be that way at the stadium, and there is restricted access areas, and there's tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 individuals who may or may not have access, and it's all very detailed. And then we find out the NFL Players Association hasn't agreed to any of this. So how do we get the union and the league on the same page on such important matters? And then you've got John Harbaugh, the Ravens coach, last Thursday saying it's humanly impossible to comply with these requirements. And he's concerned that if his team complies with them, somebody out there's not, and they're going to get a competitive advantage because they're not spending time complying and otherwise using that time to get ready for the next game. That's going to be the problem. There's going to need to be an enforcement mechanism over and above the actual protocol that ensures that everyone complies. Otherwise, everyone's eventually going to break the rules once they hear the Patriots are doing this, and this team is doing that, and this team is doing that, so we're not going to follow the rules. And then the next thing you know, you're going to have too many guys who test positive to have football games. So they need, and again, and let me just be clear on this for anyone out there who may doubt my motive. I want there to be football season. And part of there being football season is ensuring that the people who are in charge are asking all the right questions, answering all the right questions, anticipating all of the hurdles before the hurdles are right in front of them and they have to try to jump over them. And I have yet to get the feeling of confidence necessary to believe that they've got it all figured out. I feel like there's a lot of make it up as we go, and we'll deal with it when it comes, and we'll cross our fingers and hope for the best. That's not going to fly, Chris. It needs to be more detailed. It needs to be more planned out, and there needs to be more agreement between the league and the union. And you better get the coaches on board, too. They didn't have any problem sending out memos telling teams to shut up about this and shut up about that. They should send out memos telling the coaches to shut up, too. But I'm kind of glad that Harbaugh said what he said because it proves my point. We have yet to get to a point where we feel good about whatever is planned or not planned for the 2020 season, and we want it to be planned and we want it to happen.
Well, it's not concise yet. It's not real enough. Well, and of course, just because we have somewhat of a good plan written down on paper doesn't mean there's going to be plans are going to be thrown for a loop, and we're going to get thrown a curveball by unforeseen circumstances, things like that. Again, I'm going to go back to this one more time. There's two things, because I've been thinking about it a lot. Of course, I want football too. I mean, it's my favorite thing to do is watch a football game, let alone my job depends on it. So, of course, me and Mike want football. But, okay, I'm going to go back to, because I saw Ohio State did it this weekend, signing a waiver about the coronavirus, right? Can we get, again, I'm going to go back to that. Can we get the NFL players and the NFL together and have a vote and just see who's willing to sign the waiver and go, okay, I'm willing to play even if coronavirus is in the locker room, whatever it may be. Mike, I know you and I also texted this weekend too. Is it a crazy idea to have I don't know. I'm just throwing this out there because I know me as a 27-year-old NFL football player would certainly be down for this. Is it crazy to get the NFL players into camp 2-3 weeks early, expose them to the virus, get them antibodies, put them in, seclusion, don't let them see anybody for that 2 or 3 weeks, and then we can go back and just go to football and not have to worry about anything? I mean, I'm just brainstorming. I don't know. But these are things that, to what you're saying, there's a lot of things planned out, but it doesn't seem like the hard line factors are quite planned out yet. And to think that nobody's not going to get coronavirus and we're going to escape through this by great protocol and all that, I just find that hard to believe. At some point, somebody's going to get it. And what are we going to do? Cancel certain parts of the season because 5 people got it, because 10 people got it, because that one half of a team has it? I don't know. That to me doesn't make sense either. So, I feel like the conversation's lagging here a little bit between the players and the NFL at this moment.
The example that you set out about bringing teams in 2 weeks early and exposing them all, that's an extreme representation of what we were discussing. Here's what I want to let everyone know. Most days we do a segment called PFTOT after the live show ends on NBCSN. That's going to be the topic for today. I have some thoughts on that aren't nearly as radical as bringing the entire team in and exposing them to the virus 2 weeks before you start training camp. But it's a more subtle and it's a more nuanced and it's a more individualized view on getting the antibodies in your system before you get to a point where you may get shut down for 2 weeks during a key stretch of the season. But that's coming up later today on PFTOT.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.